We call them lawnmower parents. It's really important for children to learn to solve problems by themselves. I don't mean to be rude to any Taiwanese, but I'm not the biggest fan of Chinese New Year. And only Taiwan, it's never gonna be a perfect, seamless communication between your cultural backgrounds. And everyone complains about the banks in Taiwan. But have you ever been to a DMV in America? Some people move here and they wanna just spend every long weekend going to other countries on vacation, but Taiwan still has a lot to offer. Sure, we can have some complaints about how hot the weather is and some other issues in terms of crowded neighborhoods. And I feel like people in different countries, if they hear Taiwan, they immediately just think, oh, conflict with China. And it was one of the best decisions of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, 大家好，欢迎来 Welcome to Taiwan。今天我们跑去到台北，跟我们美国朋友聊天。影片开始以前，不要忘记订阅、按赞、开启小铃铛。谢谢大家。
你中文好好的。
还好。
My name is Joseph. I come from America. The state is Massachusetts, and I moved to Taiwan in 2012 to start a career as an English teacher. First, I began teaching a little bit in Taoyuan in the few different bushibans, then kind of worked my way up through teaching some adult classes at some centers. And when I got my permanent residency, I decided to become a licensed teacher and teach at an international school. So I've been here as a teacher ever since. And I feel like if you're going to stay in Taiwan, you have to both love Taiwan and love what you do. And in this case, I found a love for teaching.
All right, Joseph, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Joseph?
I'm lucky enough to have a beautiful daughter. I'm a father here in Taiwan. So spending time with family is, of course, a big kind of focus of my time. But for the longest time and any free time I had, I was a huge avid hiker, hiking all across different parts of Taiwan, especially the mountains of like Taoyuan, Fuxingxiang, Wulai, or Sanxia, because they're beautiful. They're somewhat unexplored and unknown for the foreigners, and a lot of tourists come to Taiwan. Hiking was my passion here in Taiwan for about 10 years.
So you mentioned you have a daughter. How is it like raising a child here in Taiwan as a foreigner?
Generally, it's been going fine. Some people might complain about paperwork or policies or logistics with having a kid, but my wife is Taiwanese, so it's not actually that complicated. So you always try to think about your own childhood when you were growing up, when you're raising a child yourself. And of course, one of the biggest differences here is the lack of space in Taiwan. It's just a different housing setup. We don't have yards, we don't have wide open spaces, especially around New Taipei City. But the trade-off with that is that there's always a lot of people around. So there's never a shortage of kids at the park to play with. There's never nothing to do on a rainy day. You can always find something to do. I just try to focus on what's happy in the moment. Education is going to be getting tougher and tougher as she gets older, but as long as she does have a happy day every day, I'm satisfied with the way schools work here, even though they are a little bit too long for a school day.
So your child, is she an American, a Taiwanese, or dual citizenship?
If you're born to an American parent, in most cases you can have an American citizenship and inherit American passport. So my daughter has passports, 2 citizenships, 2 homes in a way, and we do go back home to America as often as we can in the summers to see her grandparents, see my parents, because Taiwan's, of course, summer weather is incredibly hot. And it's much more of a mild summer where I'm from in Massachusetts.
Talking about culture, what American culture you wish Taiwanese could adopt?
So it's really hard to say, because I'm at a point now that I feel like I've been in Taiwan for so long that as American culture kind of evolves over the decades, I'm slowly getting out of touch with what's happening in modern American culture. I don't really follow any new American movies. When I go to America, I get confused for what apps on their phones people are talking about because I'm here in Taiwan. So my reference points, and even in the classroom for when I'm teaching about American culture, it kind of stops in the 2010s. But in terms of like the long established points of American culture, real Christmas trees. In my opinion and my family, that's very, very important. And when I have a real Christmas tree at home, we decorate it. It's not the same kind of pine or spruce tree that's available growing in North America, we can get a songbo tree, a Chinese juniper bush, and actually decorate it for real, water it, take care of it. Oh, I also have one in my classroom at school, by the way, another real Christmas tree. People genuinely don't believe it's real. They're like, what? No, it can't be. I'm like, of course it is. That's where the tradition comes from. So when I'm raising my daughter and we're out places, I always encourage her to take small risks and try things that she wants to do by herself. And of course, a lot of Taiwanese families do too, but a lot of parents in Taiwan and other countries, we call them lawnmower parents, where they just clear all the obstacles out of the kid's way so the kid can go forward hassle-free. But in reality, it's really important for children to learn to solve problems by themselves, and it's okay to make mistakes. If my daughter breaks something or she falls down, my reaction is not going to be, it's going to be total calm, no expression on my face, and just ask her what happened and have her fix it. And even in the smallest ways, I'll make sure to point out to her just what to do to take care of yourself.
You mentioned festivals. What's your favorite Taiwanese festival?
Hands down, Mid-Autumn Festival, Moon Festival. I love it. Not only has the weather kind of calmed down by that point, but growing up in America, we have a lot of summer barbecues. And of course, in September, October, summer weather in Taiwan is kind of like summer weather in America. And people go out, even in the small lanes by their houses in old neighborhoods, have beautiful, bountiful barbecues nearby where they live with a lot of delicious food. And it's a great balance of food and family. I do love barbecue cuisine here in Taiwan. Like, it's a different style. It's small grills, it's quick cooking, and it's a lot more like soy sauce-based barbecue sauces, different from like the tomato or brown sugar-based sauces in America, and slow roasting, long cooking meats. It's just nice to actually get outside with people all together and have a special kind of food. I don't mean to be rude to any Taiwanese, but I'm not the biggest fan of Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. The holiday is very long. It doesn't always seem like there's that much really to do, aside from sit around inside and eat. And eating's great, but you don't need 5 days to do it.
Let's go back memory lane. Why do you choose to come to Taiwan?
Well, it's kind of a boring answer, to be honest. I was always really curious about the world, obsessed with learning about geography, and I started applying for jobs. When I was going in the process for South Korea or Japan, they were like, whoa, wait, you don't have a diploma in hand? You can't even apply now. And only Taiwan was the place where they were like, okay, just send us your transcript instead of your diploma. Well, I guess I'm going to go to Taiwan then. That was 13 years ago, and it was one of the best decisions of my life.
13 years ago, when coming to Taiwan, do you have this intention of staying this long?
No, so I really didn't exactly know what I wanted to do for a career when I graduated, but when I graduated, it was a recession in the US. The economy was way down, so everyone was saying it was a good idea to go and get some international job experience before coming back to the US when the economy was better to find a job for yourself. I thought maybe just stay for 1 or 2 years, but then I kept signing new contracts, and then I kept applying for new jobs, and then I got my permanent residency, and then I proposed to my girlfriend. Now we're married. Yeah, there just was never really intense kinds of hardships in terms of my life in Taiwan. Sure, you miss home. Sure, sometimes you get lonely because a lot of your friends move home. I mean, sure, we can have some complaints about how hot the weather is and some other issues in terms of crowded neighborhoods. I was never homeless in Taiwan. I was never without things to do. The culture's amazing. It's very convenient. It's very safe. And I'm privileged in a way. Like, I'm very lucky to have this kind of lifestyle here in Taiwan.
Mind me asking, few things you wish you knew before coming to Taiwan?
A bit more about the history, because Taiwan's history is absolutely fascinating. And, you know, growing up in America, you learn about world history as this kind of Europe-based thing with all the wars. But the fact that Taiwan has influences from Japan, from China, from the Dutch and the Spanish, a lot of influences in modern times from America, like it's this big, great blend of cultures that's really special and unique. And I feel like people in different countries, if they hear Taiwan, they immediately just think, oh, conflict with China. But honestly, Taiwan is the people, Taiwan is the land, and Taiwan has a lot of interesting things going for it.
How is it like living in Taiwan as a foreigner in general?
It's hard to say as a foreigner because, depending on where you come from and your demographic, you might have a different experience. I feel like, people like us who've been in school in Taiwan or worked in Taiwan in like more professional jobs were treated in one way, but sadly still today there's a lot of discrimination against like Southeast Asian migrant workers who would come here and face a lot of like difficulties with their paperwork or with changing jobs, and I hope that situation can kind of change for the better. But I feel like Taiwan does a lot of accommodating for us, deal with life here. If they welcomed us over to their country and for a job to work here, they obviously want us to stay. It's never going to be a perfect, seamless communication between your cultural backgrounds, but people do take care of you. And everyone complains about the banks in Taiwan. But have you ever been to a DMV in America? There's paperwork and red tape everywhere. And a lot of things in Taiwan work really, really well. The fact that you can go and get your cell phone repaired at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night is hilarious to me still. But of course there's a little bit of inconveniences here and there in every country. Don't tie Taiwan explicitly to your experience in your job, because Taiwan is what you make of it, and Taiwan is its own thing. Try to do small, interesting things right where you live. Even just going for a walk before work, you're bound to find something interesting if it's your first time in the country. And do travel the whole country. Like one of my favorite things about living here has been the chance to do 5 different Huandao scooter trips around the country with one of my best friends who's still living in Taichung. And some people move here and they want to just spend every long weekend going to other countries on vacation, but Taiwan still has a lot to offer. Go to the mountains of Pingdong or Jiayi, go to the East Coast, go to some of the Hakka towns in Hsinchu, go hiking. Please go hiking.
Would you want to be a Taiwanese?
It would be nearly impossible for me to become Taiwanese without giving up my American citizenship, because that's my first citizenship. And a lot of people do complain about this, and I think depending on your intention, it might be unfair to you. But becoming a Taiwanese is more than just becoming a passport holder. It's never going to change for me that I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts, and I had these experiences and these values when I was young. I dealt with intense winters and snowfalls, sometimes having to go to my grandparents' cabin in the woods and literally shovel snow off the roof to save the roof from collapsing. That was a memory I have. There was more of an emphasis on sports and arts as opposed to academics. There's all these little things that are different between wherever your cultural background's from and Taiwanese culture. So if you're gonna truly immigrate to Taiwan and become a citizen, if you make that choice, great for you. But you might never truly become Taiwanese if you didn't grow up here from when you were a child, because that's your core memories and your core values. Even families who emigrate to the U.S., sure, the U.S. is a melting pot of a lot of different cultures, and you can become a citizen. But the minute you start talking, if an American person hears an accent, they're going to ask where you're from.
Do you have anything else to tell Taiwanese people?
I have so much that I want to say about what is good about Taiwan, what you should be proud of as a Taiwanese, just simply how safe it is, how convenient things are, how fast things change. I want to say don't get a car. It is very, very, very mafan having a car in Taiwan, no matter where you live. And I have a car, sadly, because of what I have to do every week in my life. The problem with cars in Taiwan is that the infrastructure wasn't really originally built for them. And what you get is a lot of families who live in old gongyu Taiwanese houses or walk-ups who get a car as a point for their own personal success and then struggle to find a place to park it and still want to drive down these single-lane roads that were built for scooters only because the homes were really viewed as temporary when they were first kind of set up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s for a lot of the soldiers who came over. I would love to tell Taiwanese to learn about your country's history, be very proud about just how many changes Taiwan has had in such a quick time to make Taiwan a better place. Even aside from the transitions to a democracy, setting up institutions and infrastructure that works for a lot of people. A great example is U-Bike. It's affordable, it's everywhere, and they've expanded so much over the recent times. Another example is just all the parks and how beautiful they are. Another example, of course, would be food safety. There was a lot of news in the past about, outbreaks of, foodborne illnesses in the 90s, 2000s. And when you go to a traditional market or a supermarket now, or a restaurant, you can kind of go carefree. Please be proud of Taiwan, because I very much am. Oh, what does your shirt say?
If you lost faith in humanity.
Welcome to Taiwan. Oh, that's adorable.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us your time, sharing your life experience living in Taiwan, and I hope you continue to enjoy your stay in Taiwan.
Thank you very much, and I hope to live here as long as possible, and I hope I didn't ramble too much in a lot of my comments.
Please let us know what part of the video we can improve, and see you in my next video. Thank you. 大家好 Your computer deserves the best protection. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your files, your privacy, and your future with SourceSock One. Click the link below in the description to get yours and stay one step ahead of hackers.